Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie Jessica.
So it is October, and not only is October Breast Cancer Awareness Month, it is also Hug a Firefighter Month.
Also known as for Fire Prevention Month.
So we thought we would bring you some firefighter recs to keep your October warm. No, because it's Fire Prevention Month. Okay, seriously. So we've got 10 firefighter recs for you guys.
Oh my gosh, Jessica, are you somebody who like purposely sets a fire to get attention from the firefighters?
No. But I have been known when I lived in Anchorage to drive around looking for them when they were doing their Fill the Boot campaign and they were in the road.
All right. So please make sure that you subscribe to our channel as we are doing our Road to 1K giveaway. Our giveaway right now when we reach 750 subscribers is this signed copy of 9 Minutes by Beth Flynn. Go check this book out. And also follow us on Instagram for an extra entry.
Yep, let's do that.
Okay. Let's get started before Jessica confesses any other weirdness.
Yay! Okay, so I will get started. I'll take the bullet. I'll start first.
Okay.
All right. So my first rec that I have is Filthy Firefighter. This is by Emma Louise. This is just a fun one. It's not too terribly serious. There are some serious aspects to it. This is about Hayden and Adele. So the Adele is actually a recovering drug addict. And so that's where you get some of the seriousness from this book. She has that in her past, and she doesn't know how to address it when her and Hayden kind of get into their relationship. But when the book starts out, she decides that she's going to take a bath, as we like to do, with candles and bubbles and the whole nine. And then she forgets about it, and the house catches on fire. And so then she's rescued by a firefighter, which is Hayden. And he, takes her out to the ambulance, and they lose touch with each other. Well, now she's got to find a new apartment or a new place to live. And so she's working with a realtor. She's looking into a place, and he's like, this place is great. You'll have a roommate, but it's on the beach. It's wonderful. So she goes and she looks at the place. She loves it. She signs the lease. Good to go. She moves in. And then the next day her roommate shows up because, he's been at the fire hall and she doesn't realize it. And it is Hayden. So he comes home and he is her roommate. So there is definitely instant attraction there. They like each other. She's definitely more guarded because of what she's been through, but he kind of pulls her out of that. So this is just fun. It's a little more lighthearted for the most part. It does have that, like I said, some serious stuff, but it's pretty good.
So my first firefighter rec is called wrecked. Wow. I'm off to a great start today, people. Okay. It's called Everything We Touch by J.E. Parker. This is about Kyle and Carissa. Kyle is blaming himself for his sister's death when he was I think he was only a teenager, like early teens, but he blames himself, and he has carried this with him all through into his adult life. He is a firefighter now. When he meets Carissa, Carissa blames herself for her mom's death. Now, so far, this book is sounding probably like, wow, this is like super great. Why would we want to read this? Well, this is a book you want to read if you are looking for that emotional read, because this definitely has it. And it is very, like, besides their own personal traumas that they're kind of bringing to the table with them, it's very low drama. Like, he's not a man whore. She's, like, those things are not happening in this story. This is a story about like two very broken people who come together and eventually find healing. So it's a slow burn, very emotional, but very low drama. So I really enjoyed this one. I would highly recommend it. It doesn't have a ton of focus on firefighting, but he is a firefighter because he's trying to, in some ways, atone for things that have happened.
Yeah. A lot of mine, I didn't feel like they had a lot of focus on the firefighting, where our old firefighter video, they tended to have a little bit more, but that's okay. It's okay. They're still firefighters. It's all good. Yeah. Okay. So my second rec is Chasing Her Fire by Claire Kingsley. This is number 5 in her Bailey Brothers series. This is the only book I've read in the Bailey Brothers series. So I know you're supposed to read them in order, but obviously you don't have to, because I still got it. So, you know, I do want to go back and read the other ones though. But this is about Logan and Cora. So Logan is our firefighter, and he lives in this, he's one of the Bailey brothers, lives in the small town. And Cora is somewhat of a socialite. Like, she has money, she doesn't have to work, she, you know, likes to shop and whatever, but she's living in this little town, and so she's getting to see a different side of things. Her and Logan don't like each other, and a part of that is because she is somewhat of a socialite, and he doesn't like the high maintenance part of that. And so they haven't gotten along at all, apparently, in previous books that I haven't read, but that's okay, because I picked up on it right away. It's all good. But something happens and they end up having a one-night stand, which leads to Cora becoming accidentally pregnant. And then when she gets pregnant, she moves in with Logan so that he can be a part of the process of having baby. It's either she moves in with him or him with her. Either way, doesn't matter. They move in together. And then he realizes that pregnancy hormones are a bitch and they make you horny. So he proposes they do something about that. They're already living together, you know, in separate bedrooms. And so then this is their relationship and how that all plays out. But we see the pregnancy throughout the whole book. And so this is their progression of that and how their relationship builds from that. It's a little backwards how it builds, but it's good. So I did enjoy it. Again, it was a little more lighthearted. I mean, there were some serious elements, but this is a little more lighthearted compared to some of the other ones that I've read. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
All right. My next book is called Hosed by Lily Valentine and Pippa Grant. And this is part of their Happy Cat series. I've talked about the Happy Cat series a few times on our channel. The Happy Cat series is pretty much exactly what it sounds. A pretty happy, funny story. But there are some serious elements to it as well. So in this story, we have Cassie, who is moving back to town to take over running her sister's sex toy factory. And somebody is not happy about the sex toy factory, and they're sabotaging it, which leads to like dildos in the road and things like that. And she ends up living, when she moves back, she ends up living next door to Ryan, who is the hot firefighter in town that she used to have a crush on when she was a teenager and lived there before. And so there is, Ryan has a raccoon called George Clooney. That's his pet that kind of just runs around town creating mischief and stuff. So this definitely has that funnier element, but there is some serious stuff that's happening throughout the series. And I forgot to mention, Cassie is also the virgin next door to hot firefighter Ryan. So I love this whole series, but this one just kind of kicks it off. So you have to kind of go into it knowing it's going to be a little more on the silly side, but it's still a lot of fun. And definitely Ryan has those firefighter vibes.
Yeah. Okay. So my next one gets sad and it's a little more dramatic. But that's okay. Every once in a while, we're in the mood for that drama and the inks. Yes. And so this one definitely brings inks. I cannot get my camera to like be happy this today while we're recording. The angles just don't make me happy. But okay, so this is Broken Love Story by Natasha Madison. So let me tell you, there's 3 books in this series, and each one follows a different couple during the same timeline, though. So this is the story of Samantha and Blake. So Samantha, when she was really young, right about the time she was getting out of high school, discovers that she's pregnant with her boyfriend's baby. Her and her boyfriend had just broken up, and so they get back together to try to make it work for the baby. So now we're about 2 years later down the road. Her family disowned her because of it. And so she and the baby daddy are married, and they live together. Obviously they're married. They live together. They have their baby, who is about 18 months old. And then there is a car accident, and Samantha loses everything. And it is very traumatic. It is very hard to read. But we meet Blake, who is our hero, and he is our firefighter, and he is trying to save her baby. That is when we meet him. She is really out of it. She's on the pavement being saved by another paramedic, and see from her perspective what she can see. And then because she kind of passes out, ends up in the hospital, Blake is devastated that he couldn't save this baby. And so he finds out that Samantha is pretty much alone. She just has her brother at this point because he's the only one who hasn't disowned her. And so he takes it upon himself to check in on her and make sure she's okay and check up with her. And so because of that, this relationship comes from that. And so this is their story and how that works out for them. And it was very sad and it was very emotional and very hard to get through, but it was very, very good.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Tell me about your next book.
My next book is called Make Me Yours by Kendall Ryan. This is about Liz and Cohen. And so Liz is just kind of living her life. She does not want a relationship and she has her reasons, but we don't really know what those are to start the book off. Like, so we will find out later in the book, but not until very later. So we can't really tell you about that. But Cohen moves in next door to her and she is kind of instantly attracted to him. And he is a volunteer firefighter. And he is just described kind of as this all around perfect guy. Okay. And Liz is like, I just don't do relationships. But Cohen is out there looking for like the one. He doesn't want to just have a fling. He wants the one. And so this is their story of how do you take somebody who's looking for the one and doesn't want flings, doesn't want to casually date, to somebody who only wants to casually date because she doesn't want to find the one. And I really enjoyed this story. It was not as angsty as you might think it would be, but it's not a super long book either. So it's not a slow burn. It moves pretty quickly through all of it, but I really enjoyed it. And, you know, Cohen definitely has those hot firefighter vibes, even though he's only a volunteer firefighter. I feel like that's beside the point. And there is firefighting action happening.
Okay, good. Yes. Because that is beside the point. He's still a firefighter.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. So my next rec is called Between Hello and Goodbye, and it's by Emma Scott. This is about Faith.
It already sounds like it's going to be very sad.
Because it's Emma Scott?
No. Between Hello and Goodbye.
It takes place in Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
That's why you got the hello and goodbye.
Okay.
There were some sad parts, but it's not as dramatic as the one that I just talked about. That I remember. So, no. Not really. No. Okay, so this is about Faith. She's a Seattle girl, and her life is kind of spiraling. She's a party girl, and she works for an ad agency, and they want to give her a promotion, but they want her to clean up her act. They're like, you can't be partying and going out and drinking and doing all these crazy things where you are hungover and stuff all the time. So you've got to get your life together. And so she decides that she's going to take a trip for a certain amount of time to Hawaii as kind of a refresh. She's going to step away from the friends that party with her and aren't the greatest influence, and she's going to go get her life together. So she goes to Hawaii, and on day one, she decides that she goes to Kauai, and she is going to hike the volcano, as you do, to see, the sunrise or sunset or whatever it is. And this is day one on her trip, and she's alone. She's hiking up that mountain or that volcano, and she twists her ankle pretty severely. It's not broken, but it's twisted. She can't get down the mountain. So cue the firefighters who have to airlift her off the volcano. And that is where we meet our hero. That is where we meet Asher. And because she's alone and she's alone in Hawaii and she's injured, Asher takes it upon himself to start checking on her at her hotel, and just things kind of progress from there. So they both have their things. They both have things that they're dealing with, but it was cute. It was frustrating at sometimes because the characters, it's real. So, but I enjoyed this one quite a bit. Obviously, I'm recommending it. I enjoyed it. Duh.
I feel like that's something that would happen to me.
I know that it's something that would happen to you.
And how mortifying.
Yeah, the hot firefighters show up and they have to get you in the like the basket thing, because that's what they put her in, the like the lay down basket thing, and then get her to the hospital. Dude. She's like, please let me walk. He's like, no, we can't. We have to do this.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yep.
Okay. So my next book is called Up in Flames by Eden Finley and Saxon James. And this is about Sandon and Remy. And everyone in this, I think, series works either at the fire department as a firefighter or they're an EMT. So this definitely involves that. But as for on page, like actual firefighting and things happening, very, very little, if honestly at all, actually, as I'm thinking about it. So if you're really looking for that action, you're not going to find it in this book, but this is what everybody does. So it's sort of like their stories are the important part, and this is kind of like how they're all connected is through work. I hope that made sense. So Remy is getting married, and this is MM. Remy is getting married, and which actually it took me a minute to realize that Remy was the guy. Like, oh, duh. Anyway, so Remy's getting married, and Emin is his groom. So he's waiting in the church, but Emin doesn't show up. And so Sandon, who is friends with them, works with all of them, has to go and tell Remy, hey, Emin left. We don't know where he is. Doesn't look like he's coming back. But hey, why don't you go ahead to the reception and we'll just turn it into a big party? It doesn't like have to be, you know, a pity party, like just let's go have fun type thing. And so Remy's like, okay, fine. Well, Sandon has always kind of had a little bit of a thing for Remy and didn't feel like Emin was good enough for Remy, which obviously we find out more about that throughout the story. And so Remy decides, well, I'm just going to go on my honeymoon. I need to get away from this whole situation anyways. I don't want to go home and wait for Emin to show up. I'm going on the honeymoon. And Sandon surprises him and goes on the honeymoon too. And that's where things start to get very steamy. And obviously, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Remy's feelings for Emin were probably not as strong as they should have been if he's marrying him. But you know what? Everything happens for a reason, right? Even in our books.
It's fiction.
Exactly.
It's fiction.
It is fiction.
It is. It's fiction.
So then that's the story, and then things get complicated. But then again, everyone works together in these high stress situations, so that can also add a whole nother element.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So my last rec is again on. I just choked on my own spit. It's okay. It happens. Yeah. So my last rec is again sad. I'm gonna end it on a sad note. Sorry. Oops. So this is Searching for Harmony. So this one is so I said earlier the other one was the 3 books in the series. I was wrong. It's this one. There's 3 books that are all in the same timeline. Just 3 different characters. I haven't read the other 2. I really want to. But this is about Harmony. Now, Harmony is married and she's got 2 little girls, and her husband works a lot and he travels for work. And one day he's late coming home. And so she calls his cell phone to find out where he is. And another woman answers the cell phone. And she's like, who is
what?
This? Yeah. Come to find out her husband had been in an accident and he had been killed earlier in the evening. And the woman who had the cell phone was his other wife, who did not know that he was married. And they'd been married for about 6 months. The other wife and him had married about 6 months.
Wait. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Didn't you just have a book though with this scene at the beginning?
This is the same stinking book, you goober.
No. When I had to leave to go fill up my
No. That was the one where her family was killed.
Oh, okay. I just assumed that's where you were going with that.
Well, they started it out saying that it was there were 3 books in the series. And then I realized as I got into it, like, oh, whoops, wrong book. It's this one. Yeah.
That's why I'm confused.
So
I'm so sorry.
I take it back.
You can edit that out if you'd like.
I probably won't. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Continue,
please.
Thank you. Okay. So anyhow, so apparently he had 2 cell phones. Okay. The guy has 2 cell phones, 2 different colors. So he knows which wife is calling. So he leaves behind a mess. And the wife, the newest wife, who's the one who answered the phone and informs her that her husband is gone, is Preston. Is Preston's sister. Preston is our firefighter. He's the hero in this book. And he goes, things happen. He ends up checking in on Harmony to make sure she's okay. There's a lot of strong arming by Preston's parents in the situation. So her in-laws that she has a relationship with. And he keeps checking in on her, and he ends up giving her his number. And then she'll like text him and be like, well, did he do little odd jobs around the house for her? Like, you know, how was he with her? Did he hold her hand in public? Things that were problems in their marriage. She would ask questions. She just wanted to know how he was with her. And through this, they start to build a relationship. And it's interesting to see her work through the trauma of what happened. And of course, there's other drama that comes into play here. But the other 2 books are about the other wife and her situation. And there's a cousin that comes into play. We don't see a lot of firefighting in here, but there is a lot of time when Preston is at the fire hall texting and stuff. So that's where we get the firefighter in there. So it was very good. Emotional, but good. Angsty, but good. All right, your last one.
Okay, my last firefighter book is also a very emotional one. So I kind of started with an emotional read and I'm ending with an emotional read. So this is called Crazy for Your Love by Lexi Ryan. And this is about Carter and Tegan. And Carter is our firefighter hero. And he is suffering from horrific survivor guilt. And he also was recently captured, like photographed, and it made like the national like news when he rescued a puppy from a lake. And he comes out of the water holding the puppy, and he's shirtless.
Wait. You already talked about this one.
I talked about this in our book tea.
Oops. Continue on, my dear.
I'm 99% sure I didn't talk about it yet.
No, it was in our book tea. This is what happens when you bulk record. I'm like, I just heard about this. We're 2 for 2, Mandy. 2 for 2.
Okay. Did you just have to think of something to interrupt since I interrupted you?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Now I'm not going to be able to get it back together.
Crap. Okay.
So he is photographed coming out of the water, holding onto the puppy and shirtless. And he is described as like your firefighter man dream. So of course this makes like the national news, and all these women are now like obsessed with him. He's being called a hero, but again, he's dealing with horrific survivor guilt. So every time he's called a hero, it like hurts him. He hates it. And so we start off the story with him being auctioned off as one of the bachelors for a fundraiser, and they're all firefighters there for this. And he can't do it. He's like, I can't do this. So he decides, spur of the moment, he announces that him and Tegan, who's going to be our heroine of the story, have been dating secretly for a little while. And he doesn't feel right auctioning himself off. And so he's going to donate this boatload of money to the charity, but him and Tegan, who he pulls up onto stage and kisses in front of everybody, are really like a couple. So he doesn't really think through the ramifications of what he just did. And Tegan has always kind of been attracted to him, but she has a pretty hurtful past that she's not been able to get over. So she's guarded her heart pretty well. But she definitely has feelings for Carter. Well, her sister is getting married, and it's not just like a 1 or 2 day event. It's like a whole like 4 or 5 day event. Her parents have rented this mansion where they want everybody to go stay. And they have invited her ex, who she is terrified of, and we don't know why. who has become like a son to them. So we don't really understand why all of this is happening. We just know that she was never honest with anybody in her life about what went down because she's embarrassed about what it is. So she asks Carter, who now kind of owes her, if he would pretend to be her boyfriend for the weekend so she just doesn't have to deal with this situation. And he agrees. But of course, they are both pretty attracted to each other. So this is going to complicate their things as they both work through a lot of trauma that they have and some healing that they need to go through. But it's very well written. It is emotional, but it's very good. Not as angsty as you might think based on what I described, but yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed it.
Awesome.
I mean, I don't think we would recommend books like in our 1 minute tea. We're just telling you what we've read, but in these are books like we recommend
that we actually like, that we'll
they
recommend.
fit the trope and we like them.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So, all right, guys. So that is what we have for you. Don't forget to hug your firefighter this month.
Yes. Change those batteries in the smoke detectors.
Yes. It's a little bit more effective,
know.
I think, than just hugging the firefighter.
Yes. Yeah. Let us know in the comments below which one of your favorite firefighter recommendations. And if you don't have a firefighter rec for us, did any of these sound like you're going to put them on your TBR? Have you read any of them that we talked about? So tell us all things firefighters down below. And make sure you check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us.
Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.